When you hear the idea of eating only once a day, your brain immediately jumps to one conclusion. Something must go wrong. You imagine low energy. You imagine hunger spiraling out of control. You imagine your body slowly breaking itself down. Because we've been taught a simple rule. Food in equals energy out. No food means no fuel. But inside your body, that rule is incomplete. Because when food stops coming in, your body doesn't shut down. It doesn't panic. It doesn't start eating itself alive. Instead, it changes how it operates. Most of what happens next is invisible. You don't feel it immediately. You don't see it in the mirror. But inside, systems begin to shift their priorities. Hormones stop giving one set of orders and start giving another. Organs slow down in one direction and speed up in another. Fuel sources quietly change. To the outside world, you're just not eating. Inside, your body is reorganizing itself. This is the part almost nobody explains clearly. If you like videos that break down what's really happening inside the human body without hype, fear, or diet rules, take a second to subscribe. Now, this video isn't about telling you what to eat. It's not a challenge, it's not advice. It's a look inside your body. The biggest mistake people make about eating once a day isn't hunger. It's what they think hunger means. To make sense of what happens next, we need to be clear about one thing. Eating once a day is not a magic trick, and it's not about willpower. From a biological point of view, it's simply a long window without incoming food, usually around 23 hours, followed by one concentrated meal. That's it. During that window, your body is not doing nothing. It's doing very specific work. So in this video, we're not asking whether one meal a day is good or bad. We're asking a different question. What does your body actually do when food stops arriving for most of the day? To answer that, we're going to move through the process in stages, not minute by minute, but system by system. We'll look at how your body behaves when it still expects food, what changes when stored energy takes over, and what activates only when the absence of food lasts long enough. Each stage builds on the last, and as we move forward, the changes become less obvious on the surface, but more powerful underneath. This isn't about extreme fasting. It's about revealing a state your body was designed to enter, but rarely gets permission to reach. Let's start at the very beginning, right after eating stops, because the first assumption almost everyone makes is already wrong. The most common assumption is simple. If you don't eat regularly, your energy will crash. People believe frequent meals are necessary to keep the system running, that without constant input, the body becomes unstable. Inside your body, the opposite is often true. Every time you eat, your blood sugar rises. In response, your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin's job is not to give you energy. Its job is to move energy into storage. As long as insulin is elevated, your body is in a very specific state. Energy is being packaged. Fuel is being locked away. Nothing is being released. This means that when you eat all day, breakfast, snacks, lunch, more snacks, your body never exits processing mode. Digestion stays active. Storage pathways stay open. Access to stored energy stays closed. The system is busy but not flexible. When you stop eating, something subtle but important happens. Insulin begins to fall. Not instantly, gradually. And as it falls, the message changes. No more incoming fuel. Start managing what's already here. This is the first real shift. Your body isn't losing energy, it's switching where energy comes from. Most people never feel this transition because they interrupt it by eating again. But if the pause lasts long enough, the system keeps moving forward. And that's when the sensation people fear most begins to appear. Hunger. When hunger shows up, most people assume something is going wrong. A tight feeling in the stomach, a sudden focus on food, a sense of urgency. The assumption is automatic. My body needs fuel right now. But biologically, hunger is not an emergency signal. It's a timing signal. Hunger is driven largely by a hormone called ghrelin. And ghrelin doesn't rise endlessly when food is absent. It rises in waves. This is why hunger often appears at the times you're used to eating, then fades, even if you don't eat. Your body is asking a question. Is food coming or not? When you keep eating all day, that question is answered immediately. Food arrives, the signal resets. But when food doesn't arrive, something important happens. The signal loses its power. The stomach may feel empty, but the body does not interpret this as danger. Instead, it shifts strategy. Inside the liver, stored glucose, called glycogen, begins to break down. This stored fuel is released slowly into the bloodstream. Your blood sugar stays stable. Your brain keeps working. Your muscles remain functional. You You are not running out. You are spending what was saved. This is a key distinction most people never learn. Hunger does not mean failure. It means transition. And once stored glucose becomes the main fuel source, the body prepares for the next step. Because glycogen, unlike fat, is limited. And when it begins to run low, the body makes a much bigger decision. As glycogen stores start to run low, your body reaches a turning point. This is the moment most people never experience. Not because it's dangerous, but because they eat before getting here. When stored glucose is no longer enough, your body does not shut down. It switches fuel. Inside your fat cells, chemical signals change. Stored fat begins to break apart into fatty acids and glycerol. These fatty acids enter the bloodstream. Your liver then takes part of this fat and converts it into something new: ketones. This is where many assumptions collapse. Ketones are not an emergency fuel. They are not a last resort. They are a clean, efficient energy source, especially for the brain. Your brain cannot burn fat directly, but it can burn ketones. And when ketone levels rise, something unexpected happens. Energy stops swinging. There's no sharp rise after eating, no sudden drop afterward. Instead, energy becomes steady. This is why many people report a strange shift during longer fasts. Hunger quiets down. Mental fog begins to lift. Focus becomes sharper, not weaker. This isn't willpower, it's chemistry. Glucose burns fast and loud. Ketones burn slow and calm. With fewer fluctuations, your nervous system settles. Your brain stops chasing the next input. But while this new fuel is keeping you stable on the surface, something deeper begins inside your cells. Because now, for the first time in a long while, the system is quiet enough to do maintenance. For most of modern life, your cells are too busy to maintain themselves. They're flooded with nutrients, constantly processing, always building, but never cleaning. When food stops coming in for long enough, that changes. Your cells activate a process called autophagy. The name sounds extreme, but the process is precise. Autophagy is not random destruction, it's selective recycling. Damaged proteins are identified and broken down. Old, inefficient cell components are dismantled. Waste that has been accumulating is finally cleared. Think of it like a city that never sleeps. Traffic never stops. Garbage trucks never get access. Repairs are always postponed. Autophagy is what happens when the streets finally empty and maintenance crews can move freely. This process does not run well when insulin is constantly elevated. It needs time. It needs metabolic silence. That's why it rarely activates in people who eat throughout the day. And this is where a new fear often appears. If the body is breaking things down, isn't it breaking down itself? Isn't this when muscle loss begins? That concern feels logical. But inside the body, something else is happening at the same time. The idea that fasting automatically destroys muscle is one of the most persistent fears. It feels intuitive. No food means the body must start consuming itself. But biologically, that's not how survival systems are designed. As fasting deepens and insulin remains low, your body releases another powerful signal: human growth hormone. Growth hormone doesn't exist to build bodybuilders. Its original role is protection. It tells the body which tissues matter most. Muscle is not excess. Muscle is function. It allows movement, strength, and survival. Fat, on the other hand, is stored energy. So when growth hormone rises, the message is clear: preserve muscle, burn fat. This creates a rare internal state. Insulin stays low, which keeps fat accessible. Growth hormone rises, which shields lean tissue. From the body's perspective, this is logical efficiency. It would make no sense to burn muscle, the tools, while sitting on large reserves of stored fuel. This hormonal environment also supports repair. Damaged tissues receive resources. Recovery processes stay active. Lean mass is defended, not sacrificed. At this point, the body is no longer reacting to the absence of food. It has adapted. And that adaptation doesn't just affect muscles. It begins to influence the entire system. As the body settles into this adapted state, the effects spread beyond fuel and muscle. Digestion slows dramatically, not because something is wrong, but because there's nothing to process. This gives your digestive system something it rarely gets: rest. Energy that would normally be spent breaking down food, managing blood sugar, and moving nutrients is redirected. Inflammatory signals often quiet down. The gut lining has time to recover. The nervous system becomes less reactive. The body is no longer juggling inputs. It's regulating itself. This is why many people describe a calmer baseline during longer fasting windows. Not hyper, not weak, just steady. Internally, the system is doing fewer things, but doing them better. And then, as the fasting window begins to close, another shift starts to happen. Your body anticipates food. Digestive enzymes begin to rise again. Stomach acid production increases. Cells become more sensitive to incoming nutrients. This is metabolic readiness. Your body is no longer flooded and resistant. It's prepared and responsive, like a dry sponge instead of a soaked one. This is why the same meal can feel very different depending on when it's eaten. After constant eating, nutrients are forced in. After a long pause, they're absorbed efficiently. At this point, it becomes clear that eating once a day isn't about deprivation. It's about timing, and about revealing a pattern the body has followed for most of human history. Now it's time to zoom out and look at what all of this really means. When you step back and look at the full pattern, something becomes clear. Eating once a day doesn't force the body to do anything unnatural. It removes interference. It creates space. And in that space, the body does what it was designed to do all along. It switches fuel sources without panic. It protects essential tissue automatically. It activates repair systems only when conditions are right, not because you pushed it, but because you stopped interrupting it. That's the part most discussions miss. The body doesn't need constant input to function. It needs rhythm, periods of intake, periods of absence. Modern life flattened that rhythm into a constant stream. Food all day, signals all day, no silence. Eating once a day simply restores contrast. It reminds the system how to move between modes, between building and cleaning, between storage and use. Whether someone chooses to eat this way or not isn't the real takeaway. The real takeaway is this: your body is far more adaptable than you were taught to believe, and many of its most powerful systems only appear when food stops arriving for a while. If this video helped you understand what's happening beneath the surface, consider subscribing. It directly supports this channel and allows more deep, curiosity-driven explainers like this to exist. And now a question to leave you with. If your body can change this smoothly, what else inside you might only activate when things finally get quiet?